Welcome to the cozy.convos.podcast. I am your host, Elijah, and today we are discussing the fear of starting over. It's time to make a hard conversation cozy.
Let's have a conversation and make it cozy. Let's dive into the unknown so we can continue growing. It won't always feel so comfortable letting go of limited beliefs, but we know we have big dreams and goals, so we're committed even when truth gets heavy. Let's have a conversation and make it cozy. Let's address the hard things and still make it feel so cozy. Let's embrace our flaws so we can feel even more cozy. This safe space won't make you feel anything other than cozy.
I just want to commemorate this special occasion. This is the first episode of my new podcast. Welcome, old people who may have already known me. Welcome to the new people if you're here. Before we dive into today's topic, I just want to give you guys a brief synopsis on what to expect with this beautiful podcast channel that I have created for you all. Some of you may know me from the past, from 2021, I believe. And some of you may just be getting introduced to me, but either way, I am Elijah, and it's nice to meet you, or it's nice to see you again. I just felt that I needed to take some time to really kind of clear my head and get acclimated with the new city that I'm in, New York. And a great outlet that I've been using just to kind of heal and keep myself grounded is my music, which is so personal to me, which I'm still pursuing, by the way. But I do feel that now I am ready to start a new venture, and I'm ready to communicate some of the things that I have obtained, or some of the lessons that I have obtained on my journey here. So kick back, relax, get your snacks, get your wine, get whatever it is that you love to have when you're watching, educational, uplifting content, because we are about to get deep. Let's do it. Now, the fear of starting over is something that is familiar to all of us, of course. It's very uncomfortable, it's very unfamiliar, you're stepping into territory that you've never been in. So of course, when you have been living your life a certain way, you've been around certain people, you've been in certain environments, and that's all you know, stepping outside of that is terrifying. And I do feel as humans, we of course crave safety, we crave stability. But moving to New York has helped me understand that in order to achieve that safety and that stability, first you have to go through the starting over period. First you have to go through that uncomfortability. That comes with you not knowing, well, what is coming next in my life? How is this going to happen? How are things going to come together? And to elaborate a little bit further, my journey to this new city has not been an easy one at all. Like I said, some of you still are here from my 2021 days when I used to do the story times and, the old kind of content that I was accustomed to. You may have been there to witness the massive betrayals that took over my life at one point. So in a way, I was kind of forced to start over. It wasn't really an option given to me the way things played out. I had no choice but to pick up the pieces and figure out how I was going to move forward. And in the midst of all of the things that were happening, the chaos, the transformations, and, just the different things that were taking place that was really kind of causing my head to spin, I was already connecting to something behind the scenes, which is what people weren't privy to. So while things were happening on the opposing end that I wasn't aware of, things were also happening in my little world that I was aware of. I just didn't know how deeply affected I was going to be by it in a positive way, if that makes sense. I was already going into my journey of journaling, of praying, of listening to more spiritually enlightened videos and music. So that connection was starting to grow. I was starting to build a foundation, whether it was big or whether it was small. And I'm so grateful for it because it allowed me to maneuver those confusing times with a lot more clarity. And because I had just an ounce of clarity, it wasn't a whole lot, I'm not gonna lie, it was not a lot. But there was a little something there that gave me kind of that push, kind of gave me that momentum to keep going. As time progressed and I continued to dig deeper, I continued to do the spiritual work, I realized that the opposition is actually a reflection of my power. People don't just attack anybody, baby. People don't attack things that they don't fear. And I don't mean fear in a way of like you're gonna hurt them or you're gonna put hands on them or you're gonna go off on them or do something physical. I'm talking about the fear of what you may become, the fear of your potential. A lot of the times people can see where you're going, but you just don't see it yet. So I'm so grateful that I started my spiritual journey. I was reading a lot of spiritual-based books. I was starting to watch more spiritually inclined videos, just kind of cleaning up the sort of things I was giving my energy, my time, and my attention to. And the beginning of that is what really triggered my awakening, what really got me to the place of awakened consciousness that I am in now. My girls that get me, get me. And it was just such a beautiful thing to witness the way everything played out in my life. In the midst of going through certain things, it's very hard to find gratitude. But now looking back, and of course I was feeling that gratitude as the puzzle pieces continued to fall into place. But I became so grateful to God because I understood that the only way I was going to get on the right path, the only way I was going to abandon the sort of things I was presenting to the world was for me to go through this hard time, for me to go through this opposition, for me to kind of awaken through this chaotic moment. What the devil meant for evil. Come on, somebody! What the devil meant for evil, God meant it for my good. God meant it for my good, hallelujah. Come on. So through all of that, I realized that the person I used to be was a reflection of my trauma, a reflection of my darkness, which I have elaborated on, if you guys, have watched my other channel with my music. It was not a reflection of who I truly am, the infinite spirit who is capable of achieving his wildest dreams. So I became happy to start over. It kind of gave me that childlike sense of wonder, like, okay, I'm curious about what I can do, what I can create from this new awakened space. I'm not clouded by scarcity. I'm not clouded by fear. I'm not clouded by lack, poverty mindset anymore. I'm not in survival mode. I'm creating from a loving place. I'm creating from authenticity. This was just a new territory that I was stepping into, and it felt words cannot describe, physical, material things cannot describe how beautiful this was to my spirit. Now, even though that was a moment in my life where I had to start over, I think that was really the first big start over. As I continued to go throughout my days, I realized that that was not going to be the only time that we had to kind of, switch gears and run it back. Starting over became a routinely thing for me. Whether it be something big, whether it be something small, whether it be me re-recording a song, redoing a mixtape, girl, I had like 2 projects. I'm not gonna lie. I had like 2 projects that I scrapped that was going to be released as mixtapes, but timing wasn't right. I felt called to do something different, to go in a different direction. And so I had to get comfortable, even though I put in all of that time, energy, and effort. If it wasn't aligned, if it wasn't something that the world needed to see, feel, then I couldn't put it out, honey, and I had to start over. Also, with being here in New York, I've learned a very valuable lesson, by the way. I've had to walk away from certain opportunities due to them not being in alignment with me. So what I have continued to grasp is that starting over is a natural part of human evolution. But I do feel that many of us have failed to understand that. And when something threatens our current foundation, our current situation that feels comfortable, that has provided us all of the things that we needed up until now, we get defensive, we get resistant, we don't know what's happening, Maybe sometimes we feel we're too old to start over. Or maybe we've been in that situation, that community, that family situation, that love situation for years and years and years. It's familiar to us. We know what to expect. So oftentimes I feel the fear of us starting over is greater than our need to want to get out of that situation simply because it's familiar. What I have realized though is that there are seasons that require a different version of us. A part of starting over is surrendering. And girl, when I hear the word surrender, that used to be a trigger for me because I'm a perfectionist. I want to control everything. I want to know exactly how this is going to get done. When is this going to show up? How are the pieces going to... I want to know every little nook and cranny of what is going to happen in my life. But what I've realized is that the more I continue to fight, the more I continue to try to control every little nook and cranny of my life, the more I continue to try to force things that are not in alignment, that the universe does not have for me, the more unhappy I am, the more dissatisfied I am, the more I'm experiencing chaos and destruction, all of these different kinds of things that I don't want to happen. But because I don't want to let it go, because I don't want to surrender to the divine will, because I'm literally fighting against myself, fighting against what my spirit actually needs for nourishment, I'm in my own way now. I'm in my own way from the success and the goals that I am trying to achieve. So after the first starting over period that we discussed earlier in this podcast episode, there was a second start over, which was me moving to New York. And this was the most painful thing that I have ever experienced. I had nowhere to go. I had no one to rely on. There was no one that I could trust. This was the first time I felt like I was isolated and truly out on my own. My faith was tested to the max. But the beautiful thing about it was it built me up to be somebody that I did not even recognize. It showed me a will, a gift, a power, a strength that I didn't even know I possessed until actually being in that situation. And that is the thing. That is the thing about God. That is the thing about the universe, baby. You may hate the situation, you may not understand it, but the universe knows, God knows. The only way you were going to be able to discover who you truly are, the only way you were going to be able to tap into abilities that have always been hidden, dormant since childhood, was for you to be placed in that extreme circumstance that was going to bring it out of you. And I don't think that that's something we as a collective completely understand. I just think what helped me get through the lowest period of my life was seeing the lesson in literally everything. And staying, of course, connected to my spirituality in whatever activity, whatever meditation, journaling session that consisted of. And because I was willing to experience the temporary discomfort that comes with a fresh start, a fresh new start, I am now witnessing prayers and dreams come to fruition. And it's like, what is happening? I just asked for this and now I see that it has manifested in my life, all because I made the sacrifice. And what I continuously learn is almost shed a tear, y'all. Almost shed a tear. What I continuously learn is that God does not take away anything that he's not going to give back to you. Those changes that you can't understand the benefits of, whether it be waking up earlier, whether it be eating better, whether it be working out, all of those sacrifices are going to be getting you something a lot better that you cannot fathom right now in your current circumstance, in the current version of yourself. But sometimes you just have to trust and know that if I make this decision, my future is going to be better. That thing that I'm praying for, the only way I can get it is to leave this behind and start fresh and be a better version of myself that is going to be able to receive that is going to be able to handle that. Because I know we've all heard it, with great power comes great responsibility. You can't have great power if you're not responsible, and sometimes you have to abandon the things that make you irresponsible if you want to be able to have, because you just can't. That's the thing about it. I have this laundry list, this Christmas list of all these things that I want, but all of these things require an elevated version of me. So I can't have these things because if I get them in this certain state that I'm in right now, I'm not going to be able to handle them. I'm not going to be able to enjoy them. I'm not going to be able to take care of them. And I know firsthand, it can be scary following your inner compass when everyone else seems like they're just following this stage, this status quo. But there is this indescribable feeling of peace, of wholeness, of tranquility, of oneness that comes from trusting the God within you to lead you and guide you towards the purpose you were born, you were meant, and placed on this earth to embody. Well, that was the first episode of the Cozy Convos podcast. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys caught some of the gems that I dropped. And stay tuned for episode 2, which will be out next week. This is a weekly podcast series, so I'm open to suggestions. If there's some topics that you guys would like me to tap into, some questions you have, I am here, I am open, and I am excited to continue this journey. To start it first. Also, don't forget to check out my other channel. It's Elijah. I just released the Broken Promises music video a few weeks ago. Got some new covers and performances that are up as well, so get into that. But I had so much fun, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Kisses, hugs, and blessings.